Hey, hello, I'm Walter Von Hune,
Mike Clayson.
and today we're going to continue our discussion on AI and maybe some of the practical uses that AI can do. And Michael, you've used it before, and tell me what it can do.
I have. I really spent a lot of time with it. I didn't want to scare you. Hopefully, it didn't scare you with the first part of this.
Scared me.
Because the technology is scary. It's very scary. But at the same time, I think there's some things that people can use it for right now that would be really helpful and help them in their lives. So, for instance, I think one of the things that a lot of us confront is having to renew our Medicare health insurance every year and trying to pick a plan that works for us. And it's so difficult. You get inundated with all this information in the mail, you get commercials over the TV, and then everyone's trying to get you to sign up for their plan, and the question is, what's best for you? So you can take these plans and you can download them into something like ChatGPT, and then you can give ChatGPT you can ask it some questions. So you can say things like, considering everything that I've given you, you can say this, or you can type it out because it'll also take voice commands. Considering everything I've given you, what is the best plan for me? And because you've given ChatGPT some information about what you want in terms of what you can spend, what your priorities are for medical care, are you going to be traveling, those kinds of things, it will then analyze the plans that you put into it, and it'll give you an answer. And it'll give you an answer very quickly, like within 5 or 10 seconds.
Yeah, I don't think we talked about this, but you can do the same for insurance then.
Same exact thing. You download what you get from, like for instance, if you've got a bunch of quotes from insurance companies, you put those quotes in the ChatGPT, and then you do the same thing based on, I drive these many miles, and I need to be able to have insurance here and there, or whatever it is you want. You can ask it, what is the best plan for me?
Okay, you said, let me stop you there.
Yeah.
You said if you get quotes from the insurance company,
Right.
I don't want to go through, excuse me, the hassle of getting quotes from all these insurance companies and then trying to pick and put it in. That's a lot of work. Can't AI just, if I put in the parameters, I have 2 cars, this is the make and model, this is the year they are, this is how many miles on it. Tell me which insurance company is the best for me to go with here.
Yeah, maybe. Maybe if the individual insurance companies have opened up their websites for that kind of a search, yes. But more than likely, what you'll have to do though is get quotes from individual insurance companies and compare the quotes once you get them. And you don't have to call a salesperson up and get a quote. You can just use their website, put in basic information, driver information. It'll generate a quote, and then you can get those quotes, and you can cut and paste them, or if they came in a downloadable attachment, you can download the attachment on the ChatGPT.
Okay.
Anyway, you put all the information on there, and then you can say, based on what I've given you, of these 5 quotes or 10 quotes or however many quotes you've got, what is the best plan for me? And it will analyze it and tell you.
Okay, but like right now, we're going to take a trip back to California.
Yeah.
And, we're thinking, okay, where do we stay along the way, and what's the best for us, and how many miles to here and here and here. So if I just put that on the internet, I can get that information, all the places, then you get all the ads about you can stay with us, and here's what it costs, etc.
Yeah.
Isn't that the same thing as AI would do?
Yeah, I mean, AI is being incorporated into these search engines really fast. So you're using some AI when you do that now. If you just go on to, one of the internet search engines, and like Google or whatever, and you ask questions like that, yes, it'll do something similar. But with ChatGPT or any of these AI programs, you can give it a long narrative. You can say, my wife and I are going to take a trip to San Francisco. We're going to leave May 2nd. We're going to return home on May 24th, and we want to go here and we want to go there, and we're going to visit Fresno while we're down there, and you can then ask it things like where are the best places to get Italian food? What's the best pizza in this area?
But you can do that on the internet.
Right, absolutely. But you can do this Right, that's right.
So you don't need AI for that.
Well, what you get from AI is you get a comprehensive plan that lays out day by day, or whatever you want, whatever the
Yeah.
parameters you put in there, what would be a good itinerary for you,
Yeah.
which is not something you can really do in, say, Google.
You have to put in information into AI about you
Yes,
for it to understand the parameters that it should work with to find you the best of whatever it is.
that's right. The more information you put in about yourself, the better the information back will be.
Okay, so let's say Kimberly has knee surgery, as we've talked about before, and so we don't want to climb stairs.
Right.
So now we say she has knee surgery and no stairs.
Right.
That will knock out places that just have stairs and no elevator.
That's right.
Okay.
Yeah. But the thing to be concerned about is, like I said, the more information it has about you, the better its responses will be. When you put that information into ChatGPT or any of these large language models, you lose it. You lose control over it. It gets consumed by the program.
And there's no way to get it back.
And there's no way to recover it.
Okay.
There's no way to recover it. So you have to be really careful about the information you give it. So no social security numbers, no birth dates, no full names, no addresses,
But
driver's license
stop there.
numbers, things like that.
Stop
yeah.
there. If this is AI and
Yeah.
it can already pull into systems,
Yeah,
government systems or the DMV or whatever, it's going to have all that information on me anyway.
it can't do it yet. And the reason is because it's not a program where it reaches out with grasping hands into various databases, like say the DMV or the Social Security Administration. It can't do that. What it does though is it sits there like Jabba the Hutt, and if some hacker has hacked into the Social Security Administration and has extracted all this information about people's Social Security numbers and their names and their birth dates, and that data is there from a hacker, the developer of this program can then reach out and grab that scraped data and put it into the program. It definitely can do that.
Okay, but correct me if I'm wrong,
Yeah.
but AI is a self-learning system. So it says, oh, this is Walter, and he wants to know this stuff, but I need to get information on him to help him. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to go into these systems here and figure out what it is. I need to know his Social Security or his credit card number so that I can go ahead and book this thing for him.
It might have it. If it's been scraped from some other program and put into its database, it has your Social Security number. Yeah, it could.
And that's what's scary to
Very
me.
scary. Yeah,
It's
very
scary. It's and we talked about the fear of what might happen. Right now, I don't think there's any fear, and I don't think in our lifetime there will be any fear.
Yeah.
We're not that young, but in the future, in 50 years,
Yeah.
let's say,
Yeah.
think of it, in all honesty, 25 years ago, there was no internet, really.
Right.
Then, in the year 2000, people were worried about Y2K.
Right.
And so,
People worried about the internet.
and people were worried, what is the internet going to do? And how is that going to, it's going to have this and this. And now it's like, we don't live without the internet.
Those fears are well taken, and we've lost a lot of privacy because of it. It's up to us to regulate these technologies, but left unregulated, they will gather all this information.
Well, and I can't remember if we talked about this or not, but there are, you have the companies, the big companies that are saying, yes, we should have government regulation that you can't, because you're going to have these bad players come out and you're going to say, we want to get into the market. We want to get there because that's going to be our capital, and we don't care about what we do, that we can get there. And then you're going to say, we're going to get them to gather all the information completely, and then we're screwed. And let me just continue a little bit more.
Yeah.
And it's not that now, but in 50 years, we've built robots now to do things and and there's a lot of automation in factories and things.
Yeah.
But will there come a time that they do become, quote, self-aware and saying, they're trying to tell me what to do, but I can think for myself.
Yeah. I mean, some researchers have said that ChatGPT is sentient or self-aware. I don't think so from my experience with it, but that's what they're saying. So there's a concern there, definitely. But to go back to the point of this video is how you and I can use it right now.
Mm-hmm.
So you can use it to compare medical plans. You can use it to compare insurance plans. You can do it to plan trips.
Mm-hmm.
One of the things that's really been helpful to me is correspondence from people I don't care about. So I'll get letters or I'll get emails from people that I need to respond back to. And in the past, it would have required me to invest a lot of emotional capital into responding back. I don't have to do that anymore. I can simply feed the letter into, I scrape off the name so ChatGPT doesn't know who this person is, but I'll scrape off the body of the letter, put it into ChatGPT, and then I'll give it some parameters. This is a person who used to be a close friend of mine, but I haven't talked to in 5 years or whatever, and I would like prepare a response that's sympathetic but not overly sentimental, or whatever other parameters I want to put in there, and it'll crank out a response that I'm going to be pretty happy with it, and it's going to do it in 3 seconds.
Okay, so right now I have a company that I'm pretty pissed off at for doing something, and so I don't go to customer service. I try to go to the top, and then they kick it down one or two.
Sure.
But I want to write a letter, and I want to say, hey, you guys really screwed up here, but I've used your services in the past, and it's always been great, but this time it's really gone overboard, and you did this and this and this. So now I say that to my AI program, but do I have to put in saying, write this letter like I'm really pissed off, or do I write this letter, compliment them a little, and couch it in the terms that I want my money back?
Yeah, you can definitely write those letters. You can tell it to be more concise, more professional. You can tell it to be more friendly, commands like that, and it will definitely change the tone of the letter. And the other thing that's good that you can use ChatGPT or another large language model for is when you're battling it out with the government. Like I have a friend who, for some weird reason, a few years ago, 10 years ago or whatever, the TSA decided that he was not allowed to have a TSA pre-boarding number, a frequent traveler number. Wasn't allowed to have it. They just wouldn't give it to him. He said then they would send letters back to him about how, he wasn't eligible and that, he just wasn't allowed. So at first he was writing letters back saying, yes, I am. I'm a good citizen. Here's all the reasons why you ought to give me this TSA pre-check number. And they would just kick back these letters, form letters saying, no, we're not going to give it to you because you're undesirable or whatever. So he gave that project to his wife and ChatGPT, and within a few months they finally issued the number because with ChatGPT you could feed these letters from the TSA into ChatGPT, the bodies of the letters, not the personal information, and say, give me a response back, a terse professional response about why they're full of shit, and ChatGPT would crank out a response. She'd send it off, and then they'd have to turn something around. She'd get it back, do the same thing, send it off, and so she was finally able to be on equal footing with the government and battle out with this computer or whoever she was talking to, and it finally capitulated, gave them the number. So that's a really good use for something like ChatGPT.
Right. We have it here, as you mentioned, the companies here. other companies around the world, let's say China, Russia, Europe,
Yeah.
whatever, do they have their own systems?
Yeah,
Of AI?
Yeah, in fact, some people say that China is ahead of us on some of this stuff. But the problem with these large language models and artificial intelligence in general is that you can't have censorship and at the same time expect the best results. So, for instance, and I inadvertently made an inquiry to ChatGPT, and it sent me a note back saying, we don't respond to these kinds of inquiries, and if you keep it up, we're going to sanction you. And it was because I used the wrong.
And then you lock the doors and the windows.
Yeah. So China has a very advanced AI system, and they're censored and sanctioned and controlled much more than these systems coming out of the U.S. So, yeah, I mean, these other foreign countries are developing these programs, especially China. But the problem is, if you want the very best results, you can't have any censorship because you need to let ChatGPT
Move
do what
back
it wants.
more into frame.
Yeah.
There.
Right. So
Yeah.
you need to give them as much latitude as possible.
Well,
and most governments are not willing to do that.
Okay, let me ask you that then. And since China has this
Yeah.
advanced system, can they put in there, okay, we want to see what a war scenario is if we go to war
Yeah.
with the United States. Let's
Absolutely,
just pick
yeah.
us and saying, what is our best option? Would we win? And how would we win?
Yes, that is the fear. That is the great fear, is that's what no one's talking about, but that's what everyone's thinking. And that is, you sit down with ChatGPT or some other large language model, and you feed it as much information as you can. In China's case, about Taiwan, about the U.S. military capability, about geography, about weather, about where places are located and where businesses are located and what the population is and their level of training, as much information as you possibly feed into that system. And then you ask it questions like that.
Yeah, it's
What's the best way to attack? Where are they weakest? What's the first step? That's Skynet. Right
that's
there.
Skynet,
Yeah,
and
that's
there
Skynet.
we go back to Terminator, and it's a fascinating thing. It's both helpful and hurtful. It could be
And terrifying too.
and terrifying. And so with that, we don't want to scare you anymore, but we think it's coming, and we know that people are going to be using it like they use the internet, and so that's just a little about AI. Intelligence.
So if you decide to use it, I really encourage you to try it. It's not scary. If you're careful, don't give it personal information, and use a reputable company like ChatGPT or Claude or Google or Apple. Use their programs. They're reputable. They'll collect your data, but they're not going to do anything else with it. So give it a try. It could change your life. You'll be really impressed.
For the
Take care.
good.
All right.
Bye.
Bye.